I'm sitting in Microsoft Query Editor, Microsoft Power Query Editor, and I want to return to Excel. So I simply click the first button in the Home tab in the ribbon called Close and Load. And when I click this button, I'm taken back to Excel. Now what I'd like to do is go to a new sheet, and I'm going to bring in another set of data. So I'll go to the Data tab in my ribbon, I'll click the Get Data button, and I want to get it from a file, and particularly from a workbook. There's a file in here called Bike Customers. I'm going to click this, click Import, and then I'll be able to choose the Customers sheet within that file, and I'll be able to choose the option Transform Data, which will load that data into Microsoft Power Query and allow me to transform that data. And here it is here. Now I'd also like to grab another data source. I can see I've got two on the left hand side at the moment, Sales 2021 and Customers, and I can just click them to see what's in them. If I'm sitting in Power Query, I can actually get data from within Power Query. All I've got to do is say that I want to collect a new data source. So I go New Source up here in the ribbon, I go to File, and I choose Excel Workbook. And I can bring data in from an Order Histories file and import. And so now I've got three queries sitting in my Power Query Editor on the left hand side. So you can bring data in through Excel just by using the Data tab in the ribbon and the Get Data button, or you can bring data into Excel by using the Power Query Editor and using the New Source button here. Now once we bring data in, let's have a look at a few things. Besides the queries on the left hand side, and a table is called a query, whenever I click on a query, for example Sales 2021 or Customers, I can see the name on the right hand side and I can easily edit the name. I can also see the steps that Power Query went through to get the data to this point. The first step for this particular Customers query is it went to the source. It navigated to the data, and then it promoted the first row, which you can see at the moment is customer ID, company name, contact name. It promoted the first row to become column headers. And then it changed some of the data types, and so that's what this fourth step is. Now the data types, when you look at the columns, are these little symbols here. Now ABC means that that column is text. And if I went to the orders table, you'll see some of the columns look like this. This means that this is a date column. These are text columns, and this one here is a numbers column because it's got a little 1, 2, 3. So you see the data type in the left of the column heading. If I then want to return to Excel, I'll simply click the Close and Load button, which takes me to my Excel workbook. And now I can see at the bottom of my screen, because I had three queries in Microsoft Power Query Editor, I now have three sheets at the foot of my workbook. I also see my connections here, and I can just rest to find out information about the particular connection. And if I want to return to the Power Query Editor, I simply hit the Edit button, and that'll take me back to the Power Query Editor where I can transform the data. And again, to get back to Excel, I just click the Close and Load button. So that's how we switch between Power Query and Microsoft Excel effectively. Now another thing that's important are data source settings. What I'm going to do here is go into my Power Query Editor, and I'm just going to click this and click Edit. And there's a button at the top here called Data Source Settings. Now when I'm sitting on orders, for example, and I click on Data Source Settings, it tells me that there are three data sources currently in this workbook, and particularly in Power Query Editor. And here they are here, my sales, my customers, and my orders history. If the orders history file should move to a different location, I can in fact change the source. So if your data changes its location, change the source in the data source settings and close.